1690 WVON.
Now you official now, but you got a soul to say. I just been cooking that note. I'm about to drop in a few. Think if I call it the great, the people gon' call it the truth.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, brothers and sisters. Welcome to Straight Words on WVON 1690. This is the Talk of Chicago. Brother Naba'a Richard Muhammad, the editor-in-chief of the Final Call newspaper. Brother James G. Muhammad, the dean of editors. He's a contributing editor of the Final Call newspaper. And, of course, yours truly, Brother B.J. Murphy. We are here with you every Tuesday night from 9 until midnight. And so glad to have you here, brother. You can jump on the phone lines. We got some good conversation tonight about the crime and the violence in the city of Chicago and all over the country. 773-591-1690, 773-591-1690. So, brothers, assalamu alaikum to you all. How y'all doing tonight?
Wa alaikum salam, Brother BJ. I'm doing very well. Praise be to Allah, man. Want to apologize to the audience, man, for the technical delayed, and I pray Allah that they were patient enough to stay with us. But while we were trying to get things fixed, man, I got my spiritual AK-47 with me. I had a chance to go get some more ammo, man. So
okay, go ahead.
We ready to blast, brother. I mean, I'm loaded now, man. So, he should have gave me those
right.
extra minutes, man. Yes, sir.
All right.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers.
Alaikum salam, Brother Naba'a.
Hey, look, we got we got a little technical problem tonight, brothers and sisters. We are going to try to go straight to Sister Patrice Muhammad, and she's going to talk to us about something that a lot of us are dealing with or will be dealing with, which is taking care of our parents as they age, as they get older. And she's a doctor. Yeah, let's bring Sister Patrice right on in. She's been waiting long enough. We're going to get into this. 773-591-1690, brothers and sisters. Call in and join this conversation. Dr. Patrice.
Yes, sir.
Are you there?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Well, look, real quick, give our audience, we got Brother James G. Muhammad, our co-host, and Brother VJ Murphy, Black Radio Hall of Fame, our other co-host. Give us 30 seconds about who you are, and then we're going to get right into the subject.
Yes, sir. Well, greetings, you all. I am Dr. Patrice Muhammad, a member of the Nation of Islam since birth, and currently I am practicing medicine at the Salam Community Wellness Center, which is on the Woodlawn area, south side of Chicago, primary care there, and also alternative health, also being practiced there. And we're looking for patients, and we're ready and waiting for the community to come in.
Well, give us the address, Sister Patrice, because you're right next door to Let's Eat to Live.
Absolutely. And the address is 613 East 67th Street, right next door to our Let's Eat to Live restaurant.
So, brothers and sisters, look, we got a little development we're developing there. So come on by, get yourself something to eat. And we'll actually see Sister Patrice first,
Yeah.
Salam Wellness Center, then go next door and get something to eat. Sister Patrice, one of the things that wanted to talk to you about is something that many of us find ourselves facing, which is taking care of our parents as they get older. Talk to us about that, and you're actually dealing with that on a personal level in addition to a professional level.
Yes, sir, absolutely. It's been quite, I would say it's been a long journey taking care of actually both of my parents. Before my father passed, I took care of him and took care of my mother. And, of course, there is no job or goal greater than caring for your parents as they age. You know, we all have things that we want to do with our life, but one thing that is primary and that we're taught in Islam is we need to take care of our parents. We need to care for our parents, respect our parents, and especially mom, as we learn, mother. Yes. And so, unfortunately, this country, I'm not sure about others, but I know this country in particular does not, they do not help aging people, period. There really isn't, it's really sad. It's really sad. People who have built this country and given their years to the country and to the family, and then as they age and they need our assistance, they're thrown in nursing homes or worse, and it's just a travesty. We don't have any programs for the elderly, and God forbid they have to go into a nursing home or some type of quote unquote rehab facility. It's really sad, and it's heartbreaking to see this. And I'm currently taking care of my mom. She has been a pioneer in the Nation of Islam for many years.
Now you got to tell
many
people
years.
Who she is, Sister Patrice. For those who don't know who she is, you got to tell them. You got to give them her name.
Thank you, Brother Naba'a. Sister Gail Muhammad. Sister Gail Muhammad here at Mosque number 2 here at Mosque Mariam. And she has worked for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for the better of 25 years before she developed multiple myeloma, which is it's really a form of it's a bone marrow cancer. It's cancer of the plasma cells, which are from the bone marrow, and we don't know what causes it. They have many speculations of what may cause it, but overall, there's no one thing that they can point to. We all know that this environment that we live in has plenty of possibilities because of the world that we live in, because of the diets that we have. So there are some environmental causes. Of course, when you look at artificial sweeteners, you look at medications, pesticides, other toxic and dangerous chemicals. I mean, you can pretty much take your pick. And so, unless and until we clean up our environment, this is going to be an occurrence, and it's growing. It has absolutely grown to monumental proportions, and they have all these drugs. I mean, there's a new drug developed every day almost, and some of these are to quote unquote treat cancer. But why are the cases of cancer, the incidences of cancer, going up? Why are they rising, and at historic proportions right now as we speak?
Ma'am, I tell you, sister, your mother has always so kind to me. I mean, just always a kind word, always a smile, and she would just, I would just see her in the mosque, in the basement of the mosque checking in, but she always has something positive to say to me. Let me get this in, because I want to get this in, then maybe we'll talk a little more. But I want to know, what can we do, what can the listeners do to help you as you help a woman who devoted her life to the cause of Islam?
Oh, thank you so much, sir. All praise is due to Allah, sir. And I'm glad, and I will make sure that I tell her, first of all, of you offering to give some information and a story about my mom, and for you to have such kind words for her. And that's my mother. She's a sweetie. She is a sweetheart. Anybody who knows Mother Gail, Sister Gail, but look, don't mess with her. Don't mess with her.
That's what I was going to say, man. That's true right there, boy.
That's true now.
Keep the peace. She is a jewel at heart, but she don't want, she doesn't like people to be, she doesn't play. She doesn't like people to be taken advantage of or somebody, she's an advocate. Yeah. And what I'm doing right now is I developed a website just for people who would like to donate or just share. If they want to share, and it's Gail's Alternative Treatment Fund. GoDaddySite.com.
Okay.
You got to spell it.
I want you to text that to me, Sister Patrice, and we'll put it on our website, and we'll put it in the chat for those that are listening or tuning in via Facebook. And but definitely, it's I tell you, sister, just and we are at your service to whatever we can do to help you take care of your mom. You just let us know, and we're there. We'll certainly start by telling this story. And in terms of you having taken care of both your parents, are there any things that you've learned that you like to share that we need to be thinking about as we look at our parents and as they age and we may not think about the fact that they're going to need care, but any lessons, any experiences you can share with us?
Well, yes, sir, absolutely. Over I would say since 2013, so we're talking about 11 years, that I have been intimately involved with taking care of my parents, because before that time, they were mobile, they were active, they were, still driving. My dad was 75, he was still working. So, prior to that time, you just look at your parents and you see how active they are. Now, as they're aging, what you need to consider and take into account as your parents are aging, make sure that you start dedicating some time to talk to them, to ask them about those things that are important to them, because things that are important to us, making sure, they can do for themselves, making sure, that's important. But there are other things in life that they may want to do. They may want to take a hobby at that time. They may want to start going to see friends who they haven't seen in a while, who are passing on while they're still here. Mm-hmm. So it's important for us to realize that and make time. I know we're all busy. We all have something to do. But you only have two parents. That's all. You only have two parents. So you need to make time for them. And as you are making a way for them, and they may be getting some of the chronic medical conditions, it's a good idea to start connecting to those senior community services ahead of time. Because when you're thrown in those situations, like I was, just literally overnight, you're fumbling, you're trying to find resources, and you will eventually find them, but look at the time that you spend when you're scrambling. So it's good to be acquainted with the community services, the senior community services, get some numbers, just to have those numbers also. And learning, connecting with some home health services, because while parents are at home, there are home health agencies that can come in. The nurse can come in once a week and check on your loved one. They may not be sick. Okay, maybe they say, I don't want anybody checking on me every week. Well, once every other week. But to have someone to check on you, on your parents, if you're not living with them or they're living on their own, because sometimes they want to still be independent. However, it's good for you to realize and take a stand when you see that your parent cannot be independent on their own. Do not take the attitude of what she want to be on her own, so we'll just try to work around her. No, and I see that. I do house calls, so I see aging parents that are at home where their children have allowed them to just allow them to take care of themselves and allow them to make decisions for themselves because they're stubborn or because they're getting angry. No, you have to help them. You know, you have to help them to help themselves. You can't just say, oh, they want to be alone and I'm just going to, I'll just call them and check on them. I'll send my friend. No. It's a time when it's time for them to move in with you, you know, the person. It's time for them to move in, or it's time for a loved one to move in with them, or you may have to move them to an assisted living place. There's certain options, but please, please, please don't allow your parent to be alone when really they're showing signs that they really can't be alone.
Right.
And I see that all too often. You would think that that's something that, you know, people would know and that's something that they would, you know, take into account. But it's a sad reality that people don't.
Yeah, in addition to that, Sister Patrice, they get taken advantage of by other people.
Absolutely.
You know, for example, contractors may knock at their door, telling them they may need something on their house and, you know, rip them off, et cetera, et cetera. But I wanted to mention, too, that while you're talking about we need to take care of our parents, sometimes we don't look at it that at one day we will be in a similar condition, and depending on how well we take care of ourselves, we may need the kind of services that you're talking about that you're giving to your mom, but oftentimes we don't think of it that way. And so how would we want to be, like I'm sitting here right now, if I were to become incapacitated, you know, or, you know, need help, what would I want? Would I want my children to put me into a nursing home? Okay. So that's the way I think about it. But I wanted to ask this, and I don't want to get off the topic, but you said you were at this Salam Wellness Center, and you said something about alternative medicine. Can you just mention what do you mean by alternative medicine? Because most of us are used to going to the doctor, the traditional doctor. He gives you a checkup. He sees you about 5 minutes and then tells you what all you need and prescribes things that you probably don't need. So what do you mean when you say alternative medicine, and why is it important for us to understand what that is?
Well, what I mean, alternative medicine is everything outside of conventional medicine. So you just named conventional medicine. You go to the doctor, they look at you, they prescribe you some pills for the increased blood pressure or for the diabetes. And so you're talking about synthetic chemicals. You're talking about synthetic chemical medications that are supposed to do a job, and you know they just make you sicker. They eventually ruin kidneys and liver. With alternative medicine, we offer whole food supplements because the body was designed to preserve itself and to heal itself if we gave it and give it what it needs. So if we give it what it needs, which is good, wholesome nutrition, then the body, that's more than half of the job there. Just giving it good, wholesome nutrition so that it can plug in any gaps of nutrients that really start the body towards that spiraling towards bad health. So whole food supplementation, sometimes herbal supplementation, mindfulness. You know, we're talking about the physiologic, the body, but also mental health. Having good mental health is very, very important because if you aren't thinking properly and you don't have balance of mind, then how can you take care of your body physiologically? You can't because you'll be confused. And so we also offer mental health counseling. There's also acupuncture, deep breathing, massage therapy. So these are all the modalities of alternative medicine that we offer at Salam. But if you just put a search put a search engine and put alternative medicine. You would be amazed at all of the therapies outside of the conventional synthetic chemical medications that are of healing modalities, color therapy, light therapy, sound therapy. Oh, my goodness. All of those are alternative therapies. But we only offer just a few. We offer about 4 or 5 at Salam Community Wellness Center. We will be adding to that, but we have 4 or 5 other options for you at Salam Community Wellness Center beside the chemical synthetic medications.
Thank you, sir.
Wow, that's wonderful. Yes, Sister Patrice, I did that back in 2007. I actually left Chicago to go back to Goldsboro, North Carolina, my hometown. My mother had ovarian cancer and stayed with her until she passed away in 2009. So I definitely know your sacrifice of what you're doing for your mother. I mean, you think about it, there is absolutely no way that we should leave our mothers alone during the time of them needing us. And I just can't fathom the thought of putting your mother away because you're too busy. And I always think about, like Brother James said, when we get older, we're going to want somebody to take care of us. And depending on how you treated others, like the scripture says, as thou hast done, so shall it be done unto you. So we definitely need to take care of our parents, sister.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
absolutely.
To reiterate that.
I couldn't have it any other way. Thank you so much. Yes, sir.
So, Sister Patrice, we got about 5 minutes. First of all, we're going to have to bring you back because I think just so much information that you're giving. So we definitely want to bring you back. Give us first the website again in terms of where we can go for more information, where listeners can go to help.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. And I just did text that to you.
Okay, and very good.
Yes. So it's HTTPS and then the colon / and that's Gales, GALES, alternative, ALTERNATIVE, treatment, TREATMENT, treatment fund, FUND, GoDaddy, GODADDY, sites, SITES.com.
All right. We will certainly get that into the chat, and we'll get it on our little social media. We got about 3 minutes, and, of course, that time is yours. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us? But we definitely going to have to bring you back. But as brothers and sisters, look,
come back.
Definitely go to that site, and you can go to straight. You can go to my social media because we're going to post it there tonight, okay? And then we're going to post it on our website, inshallah, later tonight, and that's straightwords.com, and you'll be able to go there and get this. But go to it and give, and this is our work, and this is our community, and this is my mother.
Right.
It's not just and the picture of them is so beautiful, sister.
Alhamdulillah.
You and her are so beautiful.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, well we got go ahead.
I don't have much to say, but thank you again for offering this. I mean, again, this is what our community should look like, helping one another. I have always been one to help. I was born to help, and that's all I do is help others. And so I'm thankful to Allah that He has allowed people like yourself Brother Naba'a, to reach out and give, number one, yourself. You have given, and for you to offer this on your platform to all of those who would be willing to give. And so, again, I thank you very much. I thank both of your co-hosts, Brother James, as well as Brother BJ.
Yes, ma'am.
I thank you. I thank you so much for your kindness. And may Allah continue to bless each and every one of you.
Yes, ma'am. You as well.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
Sister Patrice, you just, like I said, I just posted it on my social media, on Facebook. I'm at to post it on X, then I'll get to the other places. But we certainly thank you for coming on. Let's stay in touch.
Thank you.
We'll bring you back, and and you talk about Salon Wellness. You can, you really got a wealth of information that our people need. So thank you for coming, and may Allah bless you. Please give my greetings and our greetings to your beloved mother.
Amen.
I definitely will. Thank you. You all have a good evening. Thank you again.
You too.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Okay, Brother BJ, take us out of here to the 10 o'clock, man.
All right. We got a powerful show. We got a powerful set coming up. We're going to talk about the violence in the city of Chicago, and we got some special guests. We'll give you some factual information that you could take with you tomorrow as you go about your day. But, brothers and sisters, we need your support. Help us keep this show on the air. We're moving up on our 1-year anniversary. Straight Words on Cash App. $ Straight Words on Cash App. $ Straight Words on Cash App. 312-480-9775 on Zelle, and on PayPal, straightwords, 4 @gmail.com. We got some more ways on how you can support coming up during our next commercial set right here on WVON 1690's Talk of Chicago, y'all.
The Talk of Chicago and the voice of the nation is 1690 WVON, Berwyn, Chicago.
I'm Vanessa Tyler.
And I'm Mike Stevens on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Donald Trump bursted out a New York court complaining it's all a plot against him.
I get indicted. I'm the leading candidate. I'm beating Biden. I'm beating the Republicans now. I have the nomination. And this is what they try and take me off the trail for.
The first witness in this historic hush money trial, Trump's old friend David Pecker, the former publisher of the National Enquirer. Pecker accused of being part of the scheme, buying and burying unflattering Trump stories involving porn stars called Catch and Kill, stories that could have hurt his 2016 election chances. Prosecutors accused Trump of falsifying business records to cover up money to shut up Stormy Daniels.
But Donald Trump did get a legal win in another case, this one involving New York Attorney General Letitia James. The Black AG questioned that $175 million bond. There's now an agreement on the terms. Trump must have $175 million in the bank, money he can't touch while the appeal continues. If there was not an agreement, James would begin seizing Trump properties. Trump is appealing the case he lost. A judge ruled he inflated the value of his assets to get better loan rates.
So who are the New Yorkers sitting in judgment of Donald Trump? We know at least one is a black woman. She's a school teacher with a master's degree, single, no children, and does not like to discuss politics. Observers say it's ironic. A black New Yorker will decide his fate, since many say Trump has a racist legacy in New York.
White House Speaker Mike Johnson remains under fire by his fellow Republicans like Marjorie Taylor Greene.
So this is a speakership that is completely over with. It's only Mike Johnson is the one that's trying to hang on to it and is in complete denial.
Reports are Hakeem Jeffries is acting as a shadow speaker and getting things done for the American people. The black Democratic leader was instrumental in uniting other Democrats to get passed in the House that recent foreign aid package that included $60 billion in military assistance for Ukraine. Mike Johnson also joined that effort, which is the reason the far right is calling for him to resign.
Sounds of the Capitol riot. One of the Capitol police officers beating back the mob, Harry Dunn, who is running for Congress. In fact, the black candidate is picking up a lot of key endorsements, among them from Congressman Jim Clyburn, black lawmaker from South Carolina, and former Speaker Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi from California. Dunn is running for a seat being vacated in Maryland. And quick, go check your lottery tickets. Seems like many are going unclaimed, with deadlines passing. One example, a $2 million Powerball ticket is about to expire in weeks, bought at Clinton Liquor Convenience Store in Clinton, Iowa. I'm Vanessa Tyler with Mike Stevens on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
She's funny. She's witty. She's opinionated.
Let's go to Ron from Indy. Ron, you're on WVON.
Well, you know, one of the biggest things in the suburbs is dope delivery by Uber. You know, they don't stand on the corners like they do in the ghetto.
And I was sitting out there risking my life every night, going out in these terrible places. Where was this technology when I was out there in that nonsense?
She's Perry Small. Weekdays at 9 a.m. on the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
In the new year with passion, vision, and commitment. Driving our weekly radio show, Straight Words with Brother Naba'a Richard Muhammad, Brother James G. Muhammad, and Brother B.J. Murphy. We're broadcasting on the historic WVON AM 1690, the Talk of Chicago, one of the few black talk radio stations in America. And we plan to stay here, and we're asking for your help. Our Straight Words radio show is Black America's collective heartbeat, a space for black voices, black stories, and the black struggle for true freedom, justice, and equality. We represent honest, spirited defenses of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan with clarity, accuracy, and bold truths. Make your strongest donation to help us via Cash App. That's $Straight Words, $Straight Words on Cash App. Via Zelle, send your donations to 312-480-9775. And using PayPal, send financial support to straightwords, 4, @gmail.com. And don't forget, brothers and sisters, tune in every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. to midnight Central Time on WVON AM 1690, or listen on the iHeartRadio app or WVON.com. Visit straightwords.com for our audio archives and visit at Straight Words Media on YouTube for our videos and special features. We're black, we're strong, and we unapologetically pro-Farrakhan.
What's up, Chicago? This is B.J. Murphy.
This is Naba'a Richard Muhammad.
Tune in Tuesdays, 9 p.m. to 12 midnight on WVON 1690, the Talk of Chicago.
And we're streaming live on iHeartRadio and WVON.com. So again, that's Tuesday night, Central Time, 9 p.m. to midnight. It's Straight Words with Naba'a Richard Muhammad and
Brother B.J. Murphy.
And we are black, strong, and unapologetically pro-Farrakhan.
Hey, Alexa. Play WVON 1690 AM.
Getting WVON 1690 AM station from iHeartRadio.
Try it out for yourself. America is listening to WVON.
The views expressed on our programs are not necessarily those of WVON, Midway Broadcasting Corporation, or our participating sponsors.
We are the Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
All right, 1690 WVON, the Talk of Chicago. We're back. It is Straight Words. We're on every Tuesday night from 9 until midnight. Brother Naba'a Richard Muhammad, Brother James G. Muhammad, yours truly, Brother B.J. Murphy. We got a great topic coming up. We're going to talk about violence and youth violence in the city of Chicago with special guests. So stand by, everybody, for that. We got two callers we want to get in before we get into our topic. We got Tommy. You're on Straight Words on WVON 1690. Go ahead with your comment, big brother.
First of all, assalamu alaikum to you, brother.
Alaikum salam.
Second of all, I am not a Muslim. Third of all, I know of you because my father, because he was a veteran in World War II, had friends who were Muslims because they were also in the war. So my experience as a scrappy kid in Chicago seeking no fame or no knowledge or no nothing. and having the greatest opportunities in my life to understand the very nature of this city and the state and the plight of black people in America. There is something absolutely wrong with the conscious minds of black people when you have to sit up and it's some kind of rivalry with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, who has never done anything but speak truth to power. There's something wrong with all of the truth fighters all across this country, all across the world, and everybody is scrapping for the microphone and stood up a collective understanding of the 7 principles of Kwanzaa in which we find our reality that we're in right now. This is no longer a time to be running down all of these rabbit holes. You shouldn't give a damn about what's going on with Donald Trump. The only thing you should be understanding and clearly have a common sense on is that an attempted takeover of the federal government has happened in the country that you live. Mm-hmm. That's what you should be faced upon. And the next thing you should understand is that the most expendable individuals in the country are black people who have never had humanistic rights. This ain't no preaching, man. This ain't no teaching. These are facts. You walk around every day with the greatest instrument in your hand that even the government phones has the internet on it. And you're going to tell me with all of that's going on in the city of Chicago, with individuals clearly telling you they're going to send $70 million to Brandon Johnson for him to distribute amongst some individuals who were told that they could come to the city of Chicago, have cell phones, have a house, have a job, and don't worry about nothing, especially the colored people, because the first thing out of their mouth when they got here, colored people, no more money for you, as big as America is. This is a moment in a time, man, to count your blessings and to understand how strong the black family is and to support these brothers who are on the air. And for those of you who say that you got so much truth and so much knowledge and so much understanding, ain't no way in God's name that Dr. Rosita don't get into that school board. Because I've been in the meetings. I've been around. I've been there. I've seen it. Every word that woman said is true. So you messed it up with Kim McGowan and my other girl. Her name will come to me. I'll hurry up and get off, man, because your time is short. It was 2 other black women working for WVON. Educated. Love their people. Fair with justice, don't care what color you are. And we're walking around here as I simply close. If you don't know your history, how in the hell do you understand your culture? And when you get to talking about this so-called violence, would you please really tell me who's doing the shooting? Because if you Negroes are sitting up letting murderers slip in your house, you just as worse as they are. Good night. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, there, brother.
All right, thank you, my brother. Go ahead, Brother BJ. Let's roll.
Yeah, very passionate. Brother Coleman, go ahead, brother. You're on WVON. You're on Straight Words. Go right ahead, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you, and God bless. Peace and blessings to all you all there. I want to say that problem is very simple, is that we have allowed blackness to negate the Negro family, and that's where we are, period.
Yes, sir.
So, all right, your last guest, I enjoy that compassion and information as it relates to our elders, because it is very important that we take care of our aging people. But there was also another issue with that as it relates to medications. At some point, we have to get to the conversation about how it is that we become competitive with medications that doctors are prescribing with medications that are more natural to our bodies.
Yeah.
You see, that's what scientists don't seem to. Well, they know how to do this, but
you know what, Brother Coleman, we got we're going to bring her back. That was Dr. Patrice Muhammad. We're planning on bringing her back so she can talk about all those types of things. Thank you for calling. We need to get to our guests and our topic for tonight. So thank you, Brother Coleman. Let's bring in the brothers. Who do we have again, Brother Deontay? We got Brother Tio Hardiman of the Violence Interrupters. And who else do we have? Very good. Pastor Victoria, Tony Monix, and I'm sorry, I missed the last. Let's bring them all in. This Matthew Jackson. Bring them all in. Brothers and sisters, 773-591-1690. 773-591-1690. And we're going to talk about violence in Chicago. We're going to talk about that as a subject. We want to talk about our black youth the problem or youth the problem as a second subject. We're going to go, our plan is to take this segment for the rest of the night, 10 to 11, then 11 to 12. So we hope that you will join us. But guests, is everybody in? We got everybody in? Pastor Victoria, you there?
Yes, my brother. Love and peace. I'm here. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. You can speak up a little bit. Who you got with you?
I have with me Antonio Monix, also known as Mono, and Matthew Jackson. And also, we're expecting Oliver Thompson. I think he's trying to get in now. So we have two of our young adults and one that work with young adults in the community.
Excellent. And we got Tio Hardiman, who's been out there for years and years and years working on saving lives and bringing our people forward. Brother Tio, let's start with you. Thank you for coming on the show. You know, one of the questions that we posed to be discussed tonight was Chicago violence. Can we resolve it? Can we? Or can we do nothing? Are we just overwhelmed?
Well, that's a good question, my brother. I work with the young brothers on a daily basis. I also volunteer down the Cook County Jail with the young brothers between age like 21 and like 25. And I asked them the same question, and the responses that I received are pretty much unanimous that it's too much bloodshed in Chicago already. That does not mean that it cannot be resolved. You have to bring the brothers to the table no matter what, providing that you have the right type of messenger to get in there and make sense of the madness. We've been dealing with a lot of structural trauma for decades, and so it turns into violence against one another. And until we heal as a people, the violence will continue. It's very important for everybody listening. I want to say this as well, because I don't play games when it comes down to, the brothers on the streets in my relationships. See, it's hard to stop a killing because killers don't talk. Black death has become a big hustle. Everybody out here in the field, and a lot of people doing good work in the field, don't get me wrong, because they're helping these young brothers and sisters. That's a good thing. But everybody making money off violence prevention, they're making the money off the numbers of people being shot and killed. Every proposal you submit, you have to include them numbers and say that you're going to reduce it to a certain level next year. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I just want to make sure people are aware that Black Death has become a major hustle. But that does not mean that the people are not trying to do some good work with the brothers. But when you ask a direct question, the violence can be stopped, but it's going to take a universal, all-hands-on-deck effort, along with family members of the perpetrators of the gun violence. And you got to get everybody in the mood, in the mix with it. And you have to find people that can talk to them killers. and gets them to sit down for that moment. But you have to find a way to also heal from helping people heal from the pain they're suffering from the loss of their friends and loved ones, because that's really one of the root causes of the continued revenge factor is all over the place. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You know, brother Tio, I'm gonna say something real quick. Then, Pastor Victoria, I want to bring you and the brothers in. But I remember the Urban Peace and Justice Summits.
Yeah.
I remember when brothers in the street organizations and brothers here in this city like Prince Asiel in Israel, may Allah be pleased with him, Earl King, Wallace Gator Bradley, Noonie Ward, and others.
Good brothers.
And brother Sharif Willis out of Minneapolis.
That's one of my
and
guys.
Others.
Yeah.
Carl Upchurch. I think brother
City.
Carl was out of Cleveland.
Kansas
right?
City or Cleveland, right. I think it was Kansas
Yeah. Because they had the big meeting in Kansas City. But I think Carl was originally out of Cleveland. He might have been living on the East Coast.
Okay,
I say these names, brothers and sisters, even though they may not be, you may not know. But these were brothers. The brothers out in L.A., Crips and the Bloods that were signing peace treaties. These brothers, as the Honorable Minister Farrakhan said, came together over rivers of blood to try to resolve and stop the killings and the madness. And I'm just going to say it because every time I think about it, it incenses me, and it's kind of related to what you said, Brother Tio. They would never give these brothers the resources. Do you hear me? They would never give them the resources. They kept saying they're gangbangers. They just want to engage in criminality. They want to come against the police. But they had a little white guy that sat and studied the model. Listen to me carefully because I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They had a little white guy that studied the model. And he took that model. And he's getting paid and others are getting paid with him. Sister Victoria, why don't you weigh in on this subject and bring in the other brothers you brought with you?
Thank you, my brothers. Thank you. Yes, having been working in the community for decades, right here in Chicago, the city of Chicago, the South Side, one of the biggest pieces that I continue to see that we ourselves are missing. And it's not that we're not trying, but we must unite. We must unite. I am utterly convinced that when we do unite, there's nothing that can stop us, and there's nothing that we cannot achieve. And these are not cliches. I really, truly believe that about Black people. I believe that we have the power to do anything we decide to do. We have a great model of unity and restoration and healing and victory in a film that was introduced by a brother named Brother Reeven, and some of you may know Brother Reeven. He presented a film called Pray the Devil Back to Hell, and you may or may not have seen it. It's well worth the view. It's a documentary where women in Liberia were under the village was under siege. The young men, the teenage guys, and the young adults, the guys were at a vicious war against one another all day, every day, including children soldiers. And they were it was just totally out of control. And the women, it started with the Christian women. And the Muslim women said, no, we want to be a part of this too. And I'm not bringing up religion. I'm only telling you what was said in the documentary. But the bottom line is that these women came together and they insisted on a peace summit. They called the leaders together. Eventually, it even led to Liberia having its first Black female president of the whole country. And it started with a small group of women. It ain't a gender thing. We must unite, people. I know it's hard for us because we have been set at odds and against each other for centuries. Centuries. But we have to do it, and we can. I have with me Antonio Mono. Antonio Mono, Monix is his last name, Matthew Jackson, and I hope that Oliver Thompson was able to get in. But I'm going to turn it over to Mono, if you don't mind, because Mono actually, and you all may even know him, but he works with some of the young people in the community, and he has great insight on some of the things. But I cannot overemphasize, because we can do a whole lot of things, and we can get grants and money, like Brother Tio said, but we cannot pay for unity. Brother Mono, can you please say some words and opening comments, and thank you for being on. Thank you, Brother Naba'a. Thank you, Brother James, and all of the technicians and everyone involved in this presentation. Thank you. Mono.
You're quite welcome. Good evening. Peace and blessings. Once again, it's Antonio Monix. I go by Tony Mono. As a mentor and spoken word artist, I've been able to be blessed to come across many youth, and at least in the past 10 years, even just working with ABJ or the Clio Center on 55th, keep loving each other center. I'm currently predominantly working in several schools with Hip Hop Detox and other programs, and then even with a program that works with Justice Evolved Youth called TAS Reporting Center. And so, what I've seen time and time again is the culture of violence has grown so thick that, like the brother said earlier, like there's been so much bloodshed to where it's like rivers or lakes of blood as thick as Lake Michigan. And so, to even have the faith or the belief or in the possibility in the violence is so far removed from these youth's mind. I was sitting and talking to a youth, about 2 weeks ago, and it was just crazy because he was telling me he was like, man, sometimes I just, when I be around people my age and I look at them and I just know they on dummy because I know I'm on dummy. And I'm like, wow. It's like, wow, you already perceiving that someone might be a threat that look like you. Even with our Hispanic youth that we work with, the same thing, their gang violence is almost at a higher level right now because it's so ingrained into their family and culture, and it spills over into even our communities, being black communities, and so on and so forth. And then on top of that, another layer that you have to the violence is literally this is what the kids eat for breakfast, dinner, and lunch. Of course, through the media have an influx of it. Kanye West said a lot of crazy stuff, but he said a lot of brilliant things. And he has a video that's called "Wash Us in the Blood," and it's kind of a metaphor for the how much death is shown to black people. If you look at the video, you just see like different forms of death, and all the death ain't necessarily bloodshed. Some of it is just behavior-wise, and it's just so much death that has been pushed into us that if somebody not careful, it's so hard to block their youth or their children from being able to be embedded with it. And so,
yes,
not saying that like changing the violence is hard, but it is a and it ain't just the youth. We know that.
Go ahead.
We got a lot of
right.
religious gang banging. Before we even get down to the youth, we got religious gang banging. We got people gang banging over sororities. We got people gang banging over family, light skin, dark skin. We got so much stuff that we got to peel back before we even get to that part of the onion. So
yeah, man, Brother Tony, thank you. I think we got Matthew. Matthew, you there?
Yes, sir, I am.
Okay, well, peace and blessings, my brother. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and give us some of your thoughts about this subject? Can we resolve the problem of violence, or is it just too far gone?
Well, from my experience, I have experienced a lot of, stuff of violence, and there is a way that we can stop it, and the way is to, to just provide more resources for the young people that we are, and just, move accordingly to the word of God and, things like that, because in reality, the lives that are getting took every day from the constant violence is not doing anything but hurting us inside, because the same people that's taking our people and we taking their people, it's not going anywhere. It's history that keeps repeating itself. It's just history that keeps repeating itself. And the way that we can stop that is by moving on, creating more things. And the things that we create is like more jobs, more life that, people can actually live, and just, all kind of types of things that we can make sure that no violence goes on. But there will come a time when someone is going to have a problem with somebody, and we can also create, resources for people to just talk things out, learn how to let things go, and, not bring it to, guns and stuff like that, because that's the main problem in Chicago. The guns, gang banging, and stuff like that. Anytime a teenager like myself, I'm just using myself as an example. I don't handle guns. I'm good out there. I can, talk with my mouth instead of talking with the gun. But what I'm saying is, teenagers like us, when they get a hold of guns, they think that guns are the right answer. Though that's not the answer. That's just a way to either end up dead or end up jail from seeing your family because you took another person's family member out the system.
Yeah. I tell you, brother, it's Brother Matthew, it's interesting to me that you brought up guns and violence, and I think we can never, ever forget or fail to say this country that we live in is the most violent country in the world. Most gun purchases, most gun deaths, most mass shootings, most corruption. So we're looking at murder and killing and slaughter that starts at the top. Look at what's happening in Gaza.
Yeah.
So we always have to understand the culture that exists and the profit motive in that and how it's impacted us. Brother Tio, you mentioned the work being done, and we have talked for years about addressing root causes, but what I don't see, Brother Tio, I don't see investment in root causes, right?
Yeah, a lot
I
of
see
people
investment in policing.
A lot of
I
people
see
don't want to
investment in
talk about
policing.
the root causes because you have to go back all the way to the plantation. Dr. Naeem Akbar wrote that book, The Psychological Chains of Slavery, right? And we still struggling with the aftermath of Jim Crow.
Yeah.
So you got to understand, we were traumatized during the transatlantic slave trade, and then when our forefathers fought for their freedom, then we were traumatized with Jim Crow. After Jim Crow, we were traumatized with trying to fight for civil rights and black power. And then in the 70s, pure cocaine and heroin was dumped in our community. They called it the failed war on drugs, traumatized by the drug trade. So in the 80s and the 90s, the Jim Shoe Boys took over the street gang. And then another level of gun violence trauma kicked in. So we've been dealing with trauma, man, for centuries now. And nobody wants to deal with the root causes because then you have to deal with an overall healing process. And there are some reparations that I do to our people that we will never receive. But we got to take reparations here right now because we'll never get it no other kind of way. So the young brothers on the street, I'm glad to see that you got some young brothers on the line tonight. And the young lady was right as well. It may take the sisters to step up on a higher level, because the reality, I'm doing the best we can do. I have 40 young brothers in the Auburn, Gresham, Chatham community going through construction training with the Better Builders Foundation over here on the south side. They're doing with us, the BBF, they're doing good. And on the west side, we're working with 100 young brothers and sisters. So I can only do so much, and I got about 50% of them young brothers and sisters in alternative schools. Another 30% are in job training programs. So, we have to get in where we fit in and practice what we preach. The young brothers need a whole lot of constructive shadowing, like hanging out with them, guiding them in the right direction, teach them financial literacy. So we're doing the best we can do. But, Farrakhan, I must say this. The Nation of Islam, they have a model, provided they can push their model to a degree and implement their model to help reduce the gun violence. I believe it would definitely work. It worked in Kansas City in them projects before. And, I don't think the minister get a lot of props for like the way he lays it out, because he helped to turn the lives around. Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm X turned the lives around of a lot of young brothers and sisters during their time, and the minister continues to do it even to this day. But let me just say this last thing. It's more technical, because the main solution, people may not want to hear this, you really need a black army of love, man, about 5,000 strong guerrilla brothers, man, to take over Chicago and bring them brothers to the table of peace. I'm not saying go out there and stand on them brothers. I ain't talking about no civil war or nothing like that. An army of tough love, and we go out there, and brothers are beefing with each other. We force them to the table, man. You got to come to the table with this man, young brother. You're not going to kill him. We ending all the killing in our community. That's up to the black man to change the culture in his community. Police can't change our culture. I'm not anti-police. I'm just pro with my people, and it's going to take a real strong, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, okay? And that, like the sister said, you can't finance unity. That's something we got to do as men. We see the problem. All the money, $370 million spent on the illegal immigrants, $800 million altogether with county, state, and city. Why not take that $800 million with them 90% unemployed young brothers with a laser beam focus and get them working, man? Look here, man, we got our priorities kind of mixed up. I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, no, I think Brother Tio is you're right on point, and I want to say a couple of things. One, it's important because part of stemming the problem is it is important to hear solutions. Mm-hmm. So it is important to hear what you are doing, because it says, no, there can be change, and it says there can be unity, but we just have to continue to work at it and work on it. And the program by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the fruit of Islam, the men that belong to Islam in North America, we can basically go to any neighborhood in the country because we have power, but we go with love. We don't go as bullies.
Yeah. We
don't take pride in beating our people. None of that. We take their insults and we try to model. We model what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the minister taught us, which is a disciplined black man who is trying to lift his brother up, not being judgmental. So I think you're absolutely right that we need this army of love. Sister Victoria, I know that we had talked. Well, first of all, give me the group or effort you want to be identified with tonight.
Tonight, I'm here representing Restoring Hope Ministries International, and we are a spiritual liberation movement. We are not a church. We are concerned with the manifestation of the scripture where Yeshua, also referred to as Jesus, says that I have come that you might have life and have it more abundantly. And then also Luke 18, see, I have come to free the oppressed, to set the captive free. Those are some of our guiding scriptures whereby we are standing up for liberation and freedom, and we are not in the Christian box, if you will, the Christian box that the slave masters used against our people, used the very word of God against our people. I'm here representing Restoring Hope, and one of the reasons I really wanted to speak on behalf of Restoring Hope is that I'm working in a community with a number of, just some wonderful, committed brothers and sisters. And one initiative that we have is Gideon 300. Gideon 300 is a divine self-help fund for Black people in Chicago to pool our resources together. We have a small core group of trustees that are trusted in the community, and we are asking brothers and sisters to donate. We're asking 300 of our people to donate $300, and that represents $90,000 seed money to fund things that we need for ourselves and not wait on anyone else. And Gideon 300 is very specific and strategic Because if you know the scripture concerning Gideon, you know that Gideon had an army of 20,000 soldiers. And God told the ones that were scared to go home. He said, it's okay. I understand you scared. Go home. And then he did a test. He took the others, the ones that were remaining, I believe was knocked down to 10,000. And the 10,000 were taken to the water, and they were allowed to drink. And those that lapped like a dog with their face in the water, they were sent home. The ones that cupped their hands and drank the water with their hand cupped up where they could still see around them, it was 300 that did that, and those 300 were the ones that God used. And he said, I did this because you're going to know that when you get this victory, you're going to know it was nobody but me. So, yes, I agree with Army of Love. I absolutely agree. I absolutely, you know, brothers, the brothers on this line, from a sister perspective, I say, of course, it is love and it is spiritual, because it's spiritual warfare, so it has to be spiritual. It's
That's
wickedness
right.
in high places, and there's no doubt about that. What I say is that the tough love that I love when men talk like that, I love it. And I understand that we're not talking bloodshed and revolution, but we are talking about black men standing up. And I agree with that 110%. And I would say with that, really, really take it, looking at calculations and calculating the fact, and really having our young men and young women and the older ones out here too to understand, overstand that we all know it on this line, that we do not manufacture a single gun. We don't manufacture a bullet. We don't own the gun stores. We don't disperse them. But yet, brothers and sisters is out here shooting, but yet they are flooded in our communities. They
Absolutely.
are flooded in our communities. And it doesn't matter how thick this gets, and it doesn't matter how out of control this seems, we can never for one single second think that there's nothing we can do. There's always a solution. There's always a solution, and that'll always be true. Now, Gideon 300 is not, we know it's not a fix-all, it's not a solve-all, but it is a solution. Gideon has the potential not only to raise money, but it teaches us, it helps us to understand that we can trust one another. Brother, you can trust me with $300. Sister, you can trust me, not me personally, but I'm saying we can trust each other with $300. We can trust each other to do something positive and strong and good with that money. So it helps not only to build $90,000 seed money, but it also instills a sense of trust. It also gives us a project that we can do in unity that is achievable. There's millions of black people in Chicago. We only ask them for 300. We only ask them for 30 black men and women to go get 10 people that trust them. 30 black men and women, go get 10 people that trust you. And that's 300 people times 30, which is $90,000. So it's mathematics, it's calculation. My pastor, my spiritual mother, and I'll stop after this, she said, God adds by subtracting, and he multiplies by dividing. This is God's math, you all. Calculated movement, strategic calculated movement, just like our sisters that help them get to space and use their mathematic formulas to help them calculate where they needed to go and when they needed to go in space. If we can go to space, we can go anywhere. And I do believe that with everything in me. So those are some of my thoughts about solutions, and I put it out there, and we'll see if anybody, would be interested enough or believe enough to donate $300 in installments if you need to. to help fund our own self-determination. And one more thing, and I'll stop this time for real. 3 things we're looking at doing: having fresh food for our people through some type of market that we really don't have much of in Chicago, that we own and we control. Also, to have funding for things like legal funds that are needed when we, like these things with the illegal immigrants and things like that. We don't really have any type of legal fund that's actually up and running and strong. Those kind of things, and funding self-determination kind of work, nation-building kind of work. And then number 3, administrative costs to cover overhead for the things that we're doing. Brother Tio will certainly know about that. And the final call will certainly know about that, the need to have the resources. Brother Matthew, our baby on the land, mentioned resources. So, yeah, we are solution-focused, and we can do this, you all. It's a made-up man, and put your hands to the plow and do the work. And if you're scared, like God said, go home. Stay home, but get out the way. Those are some of my comments, and I'm serious about that.
All right. How do we, I want to move on to the brothers, but where do people go for more information?
They can email me at Pastor Victoria Brady, Pastor Victoria Brady at gmail.com. And what I will do is I will email you the brochure and the infomercial. And starting with this Sunday, we are doing opportunity meetings the 4th Sunday of every month online. You don't have to leave home. Gideon 300 opportunity meeting. We don't have a website or anything like that, so the best way to get to us is to email me. That's your first way of getting to me, unless you already, know me and have my phone number. There's no website, so you have to email me at Pastor, Pastor, Victoria Brady at gmail.com, and I will send you the brochure and the infomercial, and hopefully you can join us at some of our opportunity meetings at 5 o'clock p.m., and we can do some work, better work, and, some work that we fund for ourselves to get ourselves out of some of these situations we're in. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
That's critical. Oh, yes, ma'am. And let's talk about communication strategies. Let me try to set you up with a little something so people got a central place to come to. But you can also always feel free to post stuff on my website, straightwords.com. Brother Tony Mono, I want to come back to you because very often when people talk about our young people, they talk about music and they talk about violence in the music and they talk about all of these different things. I wanted to know from your perspective, and if you got any, if a person has any sense at all, it ain't just music that's driving it, but there's realities, and music can feed what you do. But I guess my question is, what are your thoughts about how artists can impact young people and change them? Because I'm sure that's a major part of what you're working at, uplifting, educating, and creating peace and opportunity.
Yes, sir. So, beautiful question. And I appreciate you listening to be able to ask such a wonderful question. And so I come from a few lineages of organizations. One brother actually part of the Nation of Islam, Brother Enoch Muhammad, y'all may be familiar. And it's a brother named Fanam. Yeah, so Brother Enoch Muhammad, he has Hip Hop Detox. Brother Fanam, he's done things with Hip Hop Detox, but he also has other organizations like the organization I was a part of called Lyric, Let Your Rhymes Inspire Creativity, and then also the MC School. And so he, both of these brothers use hip hop, spoken word, and other arts as tools to be able to reach the youth because they know this what the youth is mostly eating and consuming, and they use this as to teach the youth in 2 ways. First off, helping to really dissect the music that is being out here, and not just dissect the music, but also dissect who's pushing the music and who is the people that benefit the most from the music. and which is typically not the artist or the radio stations, but it's somebody that's owning the radio stations that's getting free commercials for people to fill up prisons, and on that aspect. And then you also have a lot of times where we help to show the youth where they lyrics ain't necessarily, because even when I first started rapping, I had to recognize within myself, like, man, why am I so prone to want to rap about violence? But that's what most rappers talking about, violence and having sex with somebody else's girlfriend. And that's what most rappers, so you kind of get into that mode as a rapper unless you know what I'm saying, get a knowledge, get a type of light to hit your mind and be like, why am I talking about this? That's not even the life I'm living. I got so much other stuff I can be talking about, like the violence that's coming against our community, you know. And so a lot of people don't get that, though. So, like, when we was doing our open mic at the Clio Center, we would have youth that would come and they'd be talking about all the gunplay. And we don't really cut them off in the middle of their talk. We let them do what they do, you know, as long as they're not over disrespectful, calling women the bees, you know what I'm saying, too much or nothing like that. But we'll wait to the end. So one young man I recall, him and his cousin was rapping. So he was rapping. He was like, I got this gun. So man, he was a kid about 13. So when he got done, my mentor, he asked him, he said, okay, so I heard your rap. I was listening real good, and I want to know, do you actually own this 9mm you talk about, or this AK-47 you talk about? He say, no. He like, so why you rap about that? Like, I don't know. So then he actually encouraged him, man. He said, you know what? I'm going to have you freestyle, and I'm going to throw some topics out there. So the young man started to freestyle. So he started hitting them to the topics like, okay, what if you were rich? If I was rich, I'll do this. I'll get my mama out the hood. Then he asked, he said, okay, talk about what if you was the president? So now the young man freestyling about being a president. If I was the president, I'll change the hood. Make sure that when I roll through, everything good, you know? And so it really takes, you know, the same way that the gangs need the OGs to come and help them to see what they could do with their lives and their energy. The same thing, of course, needs to happen with the rap. So the rap is so important because, you know, the pen is mightier than the sword. So you can kill somebody with a sword, but you can also kill or heal somebody with them lyrics that you put out, just like Kanye West for our generation saved a lot of our lives, because he was an artist that he say I wasn't talking about coke and birds. It was more like spoken word. Like, he was one of the artists that was actually talking about, like, we got real stuff going on in our community. Like, the government really on that with us, you know what I'm saying? Like, and he was one of the few artists that was on that level of stardom, you know what I'm saying, that was actually talking about that stuff. So when me listening to him in high school was one of the things that kept me away from the streets.
Yes, sir. Brothers and sisters, 773-591-1690. Want to get you to weigh in on this. I want to come back to Brother Matthew. Brother Matthew, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking? We lost Matthew. Okay. Well, if he calls back, but look, brothers and sisters, call on in 773-591-1690. Brother Tio, you've been doing this a while, and it's not an easy road. What keeps you motivated to do what you do?
When you see young brothers and some sisters that you work with, like, let's say you started working with them when they was 15, 16, now they like 30, and you see them doing good, they're homeowners, they're productive members of society, you see that's the payoff right there. So that's what keeps you kind of moving and doing what you do. And then also, you know, when you go to the belly of the beast, and that's the reason why, I'm more straight up forward with it, because if people run around saying they stopping killings and you ain't had no real confrontations while you're trying to stop killings, you know, people may not be being just as straight up as they should be, because my life has been threatened a couple of times and been around gunplay and all that stuff, man. So I'm not saying, you know, I'm the only person getting down. Like, there's a lot of people doing good work, but, you know, that's why the police, they get shot at every now and then, because they out there, some of them out there really trying to make a difference. And if you out there really doing this stuff, man, you know, I could lose my life doing this work, but to the credit of God, some guys was, I guess, thinking about carjacking me off of 83rd and Stony Island one day. And 3 guys, one guy was in the back. The guy in the back had a full face mask on. And I tell you, this is a true story. God is in the blessing business. the brothers rose up. The brother rose up out the back seat, say, that's Tio Hardiman. That's my man. You know, my mom and daddy talk about you, bro. And I rubbed my forehead for a minute, but I wasn't really scared, to be honest with you, because, you know, I'm not no unique individual. People getting shot and killed every day. I don't want to get shot and killed, but, you know, I can't go out here and work with that type of fear in my mind, okay? I took pictures with the young brothers. They respect me, man. So I can't say it better than what I'm doing. The only thing I can say is what keeps me going when I see people turn their lives around and they're living instead of dying and they're doing good. You know, over the last 20 years, man, I've helped mediate probably 1,200 conflicts. It's not a big number, but it's a solid number. I'm talking about over a 20-year span of time, and we've hired over 300 brothers and sisters, man. So, you know, if I don't do nothing else, I didn't, you know, put a dent, you know, like far as helping people out and pave the way for a lot of brothers and sisters to gain, you know, viable employment and help people think on it. Because I'm more like a Pan-Africanist-minded individual, and I believe in my people. That's what keeps me going, too, because our forefathers didn't give up on us. The next fight is really reparations. That's the next fight that we got to take it all the way, like our forefathers took the fight all the way with different issues, you know. So, you know, that's what keeps me going, okay? I'm hyped up like this 24 hours a day. You know, I'm always on the edge of the chair ready to get down, okay?
You know, Brother Tio, I think about it's too late to turn back now, baby. It's about legacy at this point. It's about legacy at this point. Ain't no going backwards.
No, this is what we do, man. This is what I do. All praise is given to God. And this is the same work Malcolm X, Huey P. Newton would be doing. So I'm just following suit, man, what I've learned.
So, Sister Victoria, you've been doing this. And go ahead, Brother James.
Yeah, I was just ask two quick questions. Brother Tio, you do great work. I appreciate everything you've done. There's a slogan, and everybody's alluded to this thing, that the best way to stop a bullet is a job. And it's a simple slogan, but I'm wondering, you know, we got lots of people, and many of them are older people. They don't gang bang. They got jobs, but they also have guns. They also have guns, and some of them commit crimes. So my question is, you know, is it that simple? What goes with that? And then, and secondarily, our politicians. I mean, Brother Naba'a spoke on it at the opening about, you know, we always talk about the programs that need to be in our community, et cetera, et cetera. And every 2 or 4 years, we get legislators and politicians who say we need to bring resources to the community, but they never get here. You also ran for governor, and I really believe that, you know, once you get in a seat of power, it ain't all what you thought. There's some strings attached, and there's electricity running through those chairs. So I just want if you could comment on those two aspects about the job and stopping a bullet, and what politicians why aren't they being delivered by those who get in office in the way that would make a difference?
Now we got to help change the mindset. Once again, I have to use references from the young brothers in the Cook County Jail, because I always speak for them, because they're detained right now. One young brother told me, you can give a brother a job going to sleep, and some of them brothers wake up out their sleep and quit the job. This is what a young brother told me, about 20 years old, okay? The job thing sounds good, and it's all about helping people become productive members of society. If we don't change their mindset, they may still fall victim to some of the gun violence out there, because we got to help them deal with the stress and the trauma they're dealing with from all the losses they may have taken. And if you're part of one of them cliques out there, as soon as you get out, you go right back to your clique. So it's more the person than it is the gun. But don't get me wrong, I support the Second Amendment, even though I'm a violence prevention, you know, expert in this field. I support the Second Amendment because you have a right to defend your home, no matter who you might be. And then you got to have some real tough skin to go out here and navigate the jungles, the concrete jungles of Chicago. But at the same time, you know, I would love to see everybody working. But right now, you can check these numbers out. It's about an 87 to 90% unemployment rate for young black men between the ages of like 16 to 21 in the city of Chicago right now. That number is way, way too high, you know, for me to even comprehend, right? So we have to check them numbers as we move forward and find a way to see what kind of work young brothers would like to do, because that number is just unacceptable to me. But the guns, man, come on, man. It's like, I don't think there's a need for people to have automatic, you know, weapons, but, you know, like a gun to protect your family, I would vouch for that any day, because it's the mindset some people I've been around gunplay before, and some people think when they get a gun, it gives them an adrenaline rush. I remember when I was 17, I was on a bus on Stony Island, right on 79th and Stony Island, right across from the White Castle. A guy tried to rob me on the bus, and I had a zip gun back then, and there's only one bullet in the chamber, like a 22, a manufactured gun. I shot the man, you understand, and I heard him holler, and I ran down the street. I was kind of nervous because first time I'd ever, done, but the guy pulled out a big butcher knife while I was on the back of the bus, and I had to get in where I fit in at that time, man. So the thing is, I understand self-defense. That's the point I'm trying to stress. But a lot of this stuff out here is preemptive, and you got people out here hunting other people. You got predators out there looking to shoot people. That's a whole different ball game, okay?
Brother Tio, stand by. We're almost at the top of the hour. We hope that everybody can stay with us. Brothers and sisters, if you're listening, 773-591-1690, you got a chance to talk to some real people. And we know our audience is a little older, so take the time to dialogue. Brother BJ, take it to the top, man, and we need to raise some money because this is pay-for-play radio. Pay-for-play.
That's right. Hey, Brother Tio, what's your temperature check tonight?
I got about another 15 minutes, which is, I want to hear what everybody else has to say, especially young brothers that's on the line as well, and the sisters some more. So I'll listen. I learn how to listen to people as well, not just do all the talking.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So you on 10 tonight? You gonna stay around with us for a little bit, brother?
Yeah, I'll be here for a little bit.
All right, sir. Sounds good. So, all right, y'all brothers, y'all stick around, hang with us, and support us as we bring you this content. And we want you to support us at $Straight Words on Cash App. We are on Zelle, 312-480-9775, 312-480-9775 on Zelle. And on PayPal, it's straightwords4@gmail.com. We're going to be right back with more conversation about violence and youth violence in the city of Chicago right here on Straight Words on WVON 1690, the Talk of Chicago.
The Talk of Chicago and the voice of the nation is 1690 WVON, Berwyn, Chicago.
I'm Vanessa Tyler.
And I'm Mike Stevens on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Donald Trump bursted out of New York court complaining it's all a plot against him.
I get indicted. I'm the leading candidate. I'm beating Biden. I'm beating the Republicans now. I have the nomination. And this is what they try and take me off the trail for.
The first witness in this historic hush money trial, Trump's old friend David Pecker, the former publisher of the National Enquirer. Pecker accused of being part of the scheme, buying and burying unflattering Trump stories involving porn stars called Catch and Kill, stories that could have hurt his 2016 election chances. Prosecutors accused Trump of falsifying business records to cover up money to shut up Stormy Daniels.
But Donald Trump did get a legal win in another case, this one involving New York Attorney General Letitia James. The Black AG questioned that $175 million bond. There's now an agreement on the terms. Trump must have $175 million in the bank, money he can't touch while the appeal continues. If there was not an agreement, James would begin seizing Trump properties. Trump is appealing the case he lost. A judge ruled he inflated the value of his assets to get better loan rates.
So who are the New Yorkers sitting in judgment of Donald Trump? We know at least one is a black woman. She's a school teacher with a master's degree, single, no children, and does not like to discuss politics. Observers say it's ironic. A black New Yorker will decide his fate, since many say Trump has a racist legacy in New York.
White House Speaker Mike Johnson remains under fire by his fellow Republicans like Marjorie Taylor Greene.
So this is a speakership that is completely over with. It's only Mike Johnson is the one that's trying to hang on to it and is in complete denial.
Reports are Hakeem Jeffries is acting as a shadow speaker in getting things done for the American people. The black Democratic leader was instrumental in uniting other Democrats to get passed in the House that recent foreign aid package that included $60 billion in military assistance for Ukraine. Mike Johnson also joined that effort, which is the reason the far right is calling for him to resign.
Sounds of the Capitol riot. One of the Capitol police officers beating back the mob, Harry Dunn, who is running for Congress. In fact, the black candidate is picking up a lot of key endorsements, among them from Congressman Jim Clyburn, black lawmaker from South Carolina, and former Speaker Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi from California. Dunn is running for a seat being vacated in Maryland. And quick, go check your lottery tickets. Seems like many are going unclaimed, with deadlines passing. One example, a $2 million Powerball ticket is about to expire in weeks, bought at Clinton Liquor Convenience Store in Clinton, Iowa. I'm Vanessa Tyler with Mike Stevens on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
This month on WVON TV, in the wake of his death, C.O.J. Simpson skinned deep. This year marks the 30th anniversary of the death of Nicole Brown Simpson, whose murder set up the trial of the century and set in motion a racial divide that continues to shake America.
O.J. gets off because a white racist in the police force was allowed to have contact in this case in a major way.
And coming to WVON TV is the much-anticipated documentary, Shame of Chicago. Watch this 4-part series beginning April 18th on WVON TV and WTTW. It's the origin story of how Chicago devised the most sweeping system of racially segregated communities, leading to a racial divide and a wealth gap that seems too big to close. WVON TV is one of the fastest-growing digital streaming platforms in America. Find out why. Watch it on Roku, Apple TV+, Amazon Fire, on WVON's app, or simply at VON.TV. WVON TV is cultural content on purpose.
Hi, Travis Smiley, vision and commitment. Driving our weekly radio show, Straight Words with Brother Naba'a Richard Muhammad, Brother James G. Muhammad, and Brother B.J. Murphy. We're broadcasting on the historic WVON AM 1690, The Talk of Chicago, one of the few black talk radio stations in America. And we plan to stay here, and we're asking for your help. Our Straight Words radio show is Black America's collective heartbeat, a space for black voices, black stories, and the black struggle for true freedom, justice, and equality. We represent honest, spirited defenses of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan with clarity, accuracy, and bold truths. Make your strongest donation to help us via Cash App. That's $Straight Words, $Straight Words on Cash App. Via Zelle, send your donations to 312-480-9775. And using PayPal, send financial support to straightwords, 4, @gmail.com. And don't forget, brothers and sisters, tune in every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. to midnight Central Time on WVON AM 1690, or listen on the iHeartRadio app or WVON.com. Visit straightwords.com for our audio archives, and visit at Straightwords Media on YouTube for our videos and special features. We're black, we're strong, and we unapologetically pro-Farrakhan.
PM right here on WVON. I'll bring a national perspective to all things happening in Black America. It's talk the way you like it, and it's why America is listening.
It's the legendary Tavis Smiley, weeknights at 6 p.m. on The Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON. Tune in every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. for Speak On It with Dr. Kofi Malik. You've seen him on cable TV. Now hear his spirited conversation on The Talk of Chicago. The question at hand is raising voices of the Negro. That plain and simple. Tune in every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. for Speak On It with Dr. Kofi Malik on The Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
What's up, Chicago? This is B.J. Murphy.
This is Naba'a Richard Muhammad.
Tune in Tuesdays, 9 p.m. to 12 midnight on WVON 1690, The Talk of Chicago.
And we're streaming live on iHeartRadio and WVON.com. So again, that's Tuesday night, Central Time, 9 p.m. to midnight. It's Straight Words with Naba'a Richard Muhammad and
Brother B.J. Murphy.
And we are black, strong, and unapologetically pro-Farrakhan.
Hey, Alexa. Play WVON 1690 AM.
Getting WVON 1690 AM station from iHeartRadio.
Try it out for yourself. America is listening to WVON.
The views expressed on our programs are not necessarily those of WVON, Midway Broadcasting Corporation, or our participating sponsors.
We are the talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON.
Back on Straight Words on WVON 1690, the talk of Chicago. Brother Naba'a Richard Muhammad, Brother James G. Muhammad, Brother B.J. Murphy. We are here every Tuesday evening from 9 until midnight. You can join the conversation tonight. We're talking about violence in the city of Chicago. 773-591-1690. 773-591-1690. And we got a couple of brothers who want to jump in the conversation. We got Brother Cliff and Brother Art. First, let's go to Cliff. You're on WVON, and talk to our panel tonight, brother. What you got to say?
Sure. Assalamu alaikum. The brothers, very key points. But for the most part, I think the sister said something that was very, very poignant and very relevant in terms of the availabilities of guns, illegal guns in our community. It's not just in Chicago, Philadelphia, St. Louis, Atlanta. This is all over. And while we as adults are bickering back and forth about which white boy is going better serve the community, Trump or Biden, we're losing our lives under both of them. And the point that I'm making is that how are these illegal guns flooding the community? And another good point that was raised, and this is where Art and this sister Hope, this is what they're saying, is that the racism and the deliberate destruction intended for our black community, we help. And this is exactly what we're doing. And so, the key and the key to this is to turn, whether religious, preferably the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, but we keep doing this. And let me say one more thing too, right? In addition to the hatred that we have, it got to stop from small things. So in other words, stop using and abusing the N-word. That right there in our lyrics, addressing one another, how positive is that? And a lot of people say, oh, that takes the sting out of the N-word, nigger. But let me say this, though. Excuse my expression. It's a ritual when brothers make a preparation to smoke or take out another brother. And trust me, they ain't listening to gospel music. They ain't listening to jazz. They're listening to drill music, music that's destructive, created by us with the intent to destroy us. And we indulge in this, so we are heavily involved in self-destruction, and it has to stop. Now, again, here's my last point. If we're not willing to change, then Brother Art and Sister Hope is saying, take these repeated offenders and lock the key up. If they can't be constructive and be productive in our community, I can understand one mistake, two, yes, but if you're a repeat offender and you keep killing people in our community, how much leeway and how much forgiveness do we want to give these brothers or sisters that are that destructive? Thanks for taking my call.
All right. Thank you,
brother.
Thank you, Cliff. Let me get in here real quick, Brother BJ.
Yes,
Cliff,
sir.
I understand your sentiment and your frustration, but let me ask this. How many times have we forgiven white folks? When have we all collectively said, we finished with y'all because y'all been slaughtering us for 400 years? When have we collectively done that? You got some that's making excuses for both of those men you just talked about, Uncle Joe and Mr. Dirty Trump. Making excuses for them and putting hope in them right now. So certainly, brother, we don't believe, especially as members of the Nation of Islam, in the slaughter of our people. But our people need a thorough knowledge of self. And they need to be taught and trained how, excuse me, let me calm down. They need to be taught and trained how to live. And they need to know what life is. And so the Honorable Elijah Muhammad came with a message and a methodology that the minister's now using. I lost a nephew, man, some years ago in Baltimore. Like 13 years old, totally doing nothing, mistaken identity, shot to death after walking from a little convenience store. His sister saw him basically die on the front porch. His brother saw him die on the front porch. My mother, even though she functioned, she was never the same after that. So I get it. But we got an article in the paper right now written by Brother James G. Muhammad that talks about the abuses of young people inside, is it the Illinois Justice Center?
Yeah, the
is
youth
that the name
center.
of the place? The Illinois Youth Center?
Yeah.
Illinois Youth Center.
The Juvenile Center.
So where they are supposed to be being reformed and changed. We've seen this mass incarceration and locking people up. But the Nation of Islam got a track record of changing people's lives in prison. I know men that have been on death row that joined the nation that came off of death row. Hear me well. And I'm not talking about one or two. I'm talking about 5 or 6 people that was on death row and came off of death row. They was never supposed to see the streets again. And they're using what they did to turn the lives of our people around. So certainly we don't condone the slaughter of anyone. And it is shameful that here we are, a people with an enemy that's been trying to destroy us from the first time they laid eyes on us. When they brought us to this country, they intended to work us to death, right?
Okay.
So, to close this, give them to us. Give them to Farrakhan. Stop Negroes and politicians and chicken, the scared pastors, not the strong ones like Victoria Brady. Not her.
That's
and
right.
Scared Muslims too.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let the minister do what he has been commissioned to do. And if you don't want to deal with these people, I tell you what, tell the media, tell the Jewish community, and tell these scared to death politicians and the devil, leave Farrakhan alone to do what he got to do to teach his people.
That's right.
Because every day they attack this man. And that's one of the things we don't do enough of. We don't stand up strong enough in the face of these attacks on a man who loves us. I'm 62 years old. This man been teaching longer than I've been alive and ain't in no ways tired.
Right.
So I understand, Cliff. I do understand. But we believe that our people can be redeemed, just like Negroes believe that Trump or Biden can save the day. So I don't think we that off.
Beautiful.
We got Art.
Yes, sir. Art, real quick, brother, go ahead and give us your comments when we get back to our guests. Go ahead and join the conversation on WVON Straight Words. Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, sir. Walaikum salam. There's nothing quick about it, but let me say this. There is only one program, and God gave you the program, and that program is family. And until we get to that program, and that's the only program, is rebuilding and re-strengthening the black family, black man, black woman, and black children. The information, when we continue to put the great Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan displayed, we have to display principle. Principle is in all of us, and we all can lead in principle. We need 1 million principles. He can be an example as well as I can if we're going to operate from principle. And principles are a community code of conduct, a family value system that we must operate from in our community. The white man that we continue to dance on this, it's already known. This is nothing new. The question is, and what now? We keep talking about the white man. The white man going to give you nothing. If we work on principle, we take what's ours. Either we want self-imposed discipline or impose discipline. There ain't no more money coming from the white man to fund no groups, because the money that we are receiving, we are not using that properly to use it to rebuild and re-strengthen the black family. If we focus on building and re-strengthening the black family and not focus on people's personal individual programs and what they're doing, and come collectively together, those who are in authority, those who have these programs, sit down at the table, come up with a skeleton program that each of you are teaching the exact same thing. It don't matter whether you go to the mosque, whether you go to the brother that's on the ceasefire. We're teaching the same principle of rebuilding and re-strengthening the black family and the black community, working from a community code of conduct and the family value system, not ideologies, not our own personal mission, not our own sets and parties, but we working on the black man who have children. You must go home, grab your child or children and the woman you had children by, and teach and raise and train them. It's a zero tolerance on killing. It's a zero tolerance on robbing, stealing. We must stand and say we are against drugs. We don't care nothing about no legal drugs and dispensary. We must stand firm in truth. And the truth doesn't have a face on it. It is all of our faces. But when we narrow out our beliefs down to individuals and leaders, that's what we fail at. Because when the leaders leave, the mission is gone. We must stand only in principle. And if you're representing principle, you're moving well. That's why all other organizations, they stand on principle, which is family. So there is no other programs, brother. If we don't rebuild and re-strengthen family, and that's a universal, it don't matter what part of the city that you go in, that black people run an organization, they can pick up the same pamphlet that states and teaches how to rear, raise, teach, and train and re-strengthen the black family. I end on that, and I end with "and what now?" Black people.
All right. Thank you, Art.
Thank you, brother.
Let's go to 30 seconds, brother BJ. I might. Absolutely. Family. And we have to understand and work on what that is. But like I say to you, Art, every week,
right.
Since the God bless you with the idea, organize. And if you start to organize it, we will support you. We will bring you on the air to talk about it. You got power, you got authority. Anybody that's got a quote-unquote organization or movement, they didn't start necessarily with 10 million people. Right. The minister didn't start with 10 million people. He started with himself. And then he called others through a vision that he had, through wisdom that he had. You can do the same thing, and let's get this thing rolling.
Can I say something, please?
Okay, go ahead, brother. Go ahead, brother James.
Yeah, I was going to, before you said that, I was going to echo that. I definitely appreciate Art's passion. And he's correct. It does start with the family, because the minister called for the Million Family March. But one thing he also said, and of course I echo your invitation, because Brother Art always ends with "and what now?" So I would ask Brother Art if he would humbly ask himself, "and what now?" And so the next time we talk to him, he will be showing us "and what now?" because he will be bringing on maybe some of the people he's pulled into the organization that he's creating to talk about the program, the platform, et cetera, et cetera. But he also mentioned that, you can't put, I guess I can't say it the way he said it, but he indicated something about putting your faith in one leader, et cetera, because when the leader is gone, the program is gone. But I would beg to differ, especially with regard to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He put a program together, and though he's no longer physically in our midst, the program continues, and it continues through one man who not only continues the program, but he's called tens of thousands, if not millions of others into a program that was created a long time ago by one man. And so I'm just saying to him, it takes leadership. For some reason, I think Brother Art just has a issue with the concept of a leader, when every people who have gained liberation, especially if you look at Scripture, it started with a leader who gathered the masses. And so I just would say that to him. We have a program here if he wants to come and join onto our program. Every Friday, a family-oriented program is taught in addition to the Wednesdays and Sundays, etc. So I just want to put that out to Brother Art.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, sir. So, Brother Tio, we've been talking about programs and we've been talking about unity. We've been talking about collaboration. From your view and your experience, the good and the bad, how do we forge collaborations that are really honest, principled, and put the interests of our people first?
Well, everybody has to
you think are essential.
Well, everybody has to pretty much find themselves on the same page. Even the 7 principles of Kwanzaa should kick in, and one of them is that umoja, which represents that unity, and then collective working responsibility. So, because what happens is that we got a lot of people that want to just get down for themselves, and that's that plantation mentality. Get off the plantation, be in the house with the master, and let everybody else get out the plant. Now you feel you better than everybody else. See, we all have to become as one. And once we can unify and become as one, that takes away the jealousy and enviness that's steady impeding our progress. And because that's what we got going on. Look at me, I'm doing this, and I'm doing that. If we just do it as a collective, man, we'll get a little more mileage out of what's going on here with ourselves in Chicago, Baltimore, New Orleans, throughout. And that's what we got going on. Because even with the rappers, I don't have anything against the young rappers. They're doing what they have to do. But it's all about pushing another type of agenda, and that's that violent agenda, and not realizing how it's really impacting young people nationwide. It's definitely in some of these inner city areas. So, number one solution, you're talking about solution, is unity is the only solution for African American people right now. And everybody come under one type of process. When a young African American young man or woman walks out of their front door, there should be an oath on the back of the door that they can read before they even go out the door. Like, I mean no harm to my black brother and sister from the age of 5 years old to 80 years old, but we can, kind of at least give it our best shot to unify. That's what's killing us. Our division is killing us in a major way. You can get a Martian to come to Chicago in a UFO with a duffel bag full of money, and they can run for governor, and African-American people are going to support them because it's all about the duffel bag, okay? We got to get past the duffel bag and unify and say, look, if it's not for all, man, we ain't going with it. One for one, all for all, whatever, however they see it. But we got to come back to the Afrocentric way of living. We got Western thought versus Eastern ideology, man. I teach a class at North Park University titled The History of Africana Studies, where we study Africa before the colonizers. I know a lot of people don't want to go back to Africa as far as the mindset of thinking about it, but there's a rich history there that we can kind of practice here to a degree where we all together, man. That's even though you had wars in Africa, with the different tribes and stuff, but there was that's a whole other history lesson. But when you ask me about what more can be done, unity, like the sister said, is really the only key right now. And it has to be a mighty council of leaders, not just one messiah type of leader. It has to be a council of leaders, women and men, young people, middle-aged and older people come together, and we make the decisions for the black community, and everybody abides by those decisions, okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
When Art is right when he talks about the family, you got to build that family structure. Art is right. Back in the 50s, I wasn't around back then, but you had 80, 90% of the fathers were in the families, man, with the kids. In the 70s, now it's about 34, 35 or some percent of the fathers at home with their kids. So that family structure is missing, and we need to find a way to build it back up to a degree. Okay.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. And I'm gonna just say this about the white man. No, we don't. Everybody don't know, because if we did, we wouldn't have hope in them.
Right.
So obviously we don't know. We keep running from one to the other, who's the white man of the week or the white man of the election or the white man of the day.
Yeah.
And they tap dance around, so we don't want this one, we want that one. We better vote for ourselves.
Yeah,
and whatever God we believe in, and put that to actual work. Sister Victoria, you have been, like I said, I'm not going to get into it, but you have been through ups and downs and dealing with different people and situations. What are some of the things that you think are essential for building trust, building unity, and being able to work together?
Yes, sir, my brother. I actually have a presentation that I put together on unity because it's one of the most, I would say, untapped strategies that we have available to us. It's one of the most powerful weapons and tools that we actually have at our fingertips. In my presentation, I talk about several elements, and these are things that I have, prayed about. And one thing is definitely honoring God and honoring God in our expressions of God. And I know who I believe and what I believe, but everyone don't believe as I believe it. So unity says that for the sake of unity, we respect all faiths. We may not believe the exact same thing, but we do believe same thing in terms of the outcome of wanting to have a better life for ourselves and our children and grandchildren. So acknowledging God is essential. Another essential piece is truly yielding everything that we think we know and stripping ourselves and coming like a child. I heard Brother Tio say that he has learned how to not do so much talking, but to listen more to what other people have to say. So coming, and I appreciated that comment, and each of us coming like a child, like we don't know anything, and soaking up the knowledge and the information and the wisdom within one another, the gifts within one another, like a sponge. It's like children. They take everything in like a sponge. And by the way, if we look at ourselves, we know why these young people are violent. If they are violent, we know why. That's another piece. Checking our egos at the door. Our egos are out of control. We think that we are the grand all, and some of that comes out of the enslavement of our people, being stripped and beat down to nothing. So now we want to prove that we are something. We don't always know that that's what we're doing, but God, come like a child, strip the ego. Also, another piece, I wish I had my presentation in front of me, but another piece I would say is really truly honoring the gifts within one another. God has no limit to how he expresses himself. He expresses himself in, we can't even count the ways. So Brother Tio is an expression of God. Brother Naba'a is an expression of God. Brother Mono is an expression of God. You get my point. So another big thing with unity is to test it out. Create something together and build it up together. Almost like baby steps. Work on something together and commit fully that we're not going to get into it with each other. We're not going to break apart. We're going to see it through. I heard several things tonight that our people have done in the past. And they only were able to do that with God and by cooperating. The Million Man March only happened because God, but within that, there was cooperation. The
Absolutely.
people cooperated. They yielded to leadership. That's another big thing. Yield to the multitudes of levels of leadership. So I think at the end of the day, what I'm really saying, because I can go on, and I know we don't have a whole lot of time, but I think that at the end of the day, it's really about just stripping ourselves and coming almost like a baby, like I said, like a child, like we know nothing. We know things, but come in the spirit of a child that's looking for something good, looking for something uplifting. And you know how children just have so much joy in them before we mess them up with trauma and all that? Come like that, trusting one another. One more thing. Let's get together, brothers and sisters. And too bad the movie theater on 87th and Dan Rand closed down. But let's get together and look at that film, Pray the Devil Back to Hell. There's a model, a modern-day model, the work of the Nation of Islam. Minister Rahim just put something together with the original Men in Black. And I mean, there's countless of people in Chicago that's doing great, great things. So let's put some micro things together with our young people at the forefront. So we can model how the generations can come together, and we absolutely can unite. We absolutely can. I'll say this one more thing. I was in a meeting and someone referenced the book of Acts, and they said, act. We need to act. They referenced the book of Acts in the New Testament of Holy Scripture. But not only did they act, you all, but the Holy Scripture says that they acted on one accord. They had all things in common. Our commonalities will always outweigh our differences. Always. But we tend to focus on the differences and let it take us under. I say not so. We can unite, and we can use music, film, sport, and any other thing that we choose, because we're the most creative, innovative people on this planet, and we will never run out of ideas. And so we can unite. We will never run out of ideas. So those are some of the key elements that I see in unity, and that is model it, test it, model it, test it, evaluate it, scrub it apart, put it back together, continue on, and move to the next phase. Those are some of my thoughts about unity. I appreciate that question because I am truly, even though it's hard to do it sometimes, but I want everybody listening to know that I am truly, truly, truly bringing my stake in. Not that I'm somebody great, but I'm in when we talk about unity. And there is a reparation convention coming up May 17th through May 20th in Washington, D.C. Our brothers and sisters across the nation are coming together again to make some decisions, not just to talk, but to come out the door with a unified plan with multiple reparations organizations coming together under one umbrella to stand up for our reparations. I just want to throw that in because I heard that word tonight as well. Thank you, my brothers. I really appreciate it.
All right. Brother Tony Mono, unity. Any lessons, any thoughts? How do we move? We talk about it. How do we move to establish it? How do we make it happen? We lost Brother Tony. We done lost the youngsters, huh? I guess they stayed up. We had them staying up too late. But, I think, Brother Tio and Sister Victoria, one of the things that I've learned, and I have to go back to lessons from being blessed to work with and serve and observe and be taught by Minister Farrakhan. The Million Man March was a great success, but it happened amid great opposition from our own people. But he never let that opposition deter him. He never let that opposition detract from him. He never let that opposition really, from what I saw, affect him. So at one point when we were trying to organize, and he reached out to major leaders, I'm not going to say who they were, but they all either didn't respond. Most of them was like, nah, hey. So the minister said to us, go get the people, and the leaders will come. And so on that day, October 16th, 1995, you saw a full complement and expression of Black thought, including Black women who spoke that day, including the late Dr. Shabazz, Brother Malcolm's widow spoke, Maya Angelou spoke, and others. But everybody that spoke that day didn't have a hand in making that day happen. But it was the principle and the humility in trying to show this is what unity looks like. I think that we have to, frankly, in order to have unity, we just got to give up on the slave master. We can't be.
That's right.
I can't be so in love with the slave master that I'm not going to sit down with Tio Hardiman because the slave master don't like me, or the slave master got a question about him, and because he can give me a couple of dollars, now I can't sit there. Or not even that, Brother BJ. I think he can give me a couple of dollars. How about that? Because so often we get caught up. We don't even get the daggone dollars. You know so I didn't cuss? We don't even get the daggone dollars. But we believe. But the Holy Quran tells us, brothers and sisters, that the devil, and we talking about wicked human beings, no man in the red suit under the ground, that the devil promises only to deceive.
Right.
Only to deceive. And so we have to make a decision. And like I said, I got 6 children. I got 2 grandchildren. I've been in the Nation of Islam 37 years of my life. Best decision I ever made. And so I'm at the point now where I wanna live this thing out fully. And I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, it is so much easier to do good than do evil. It is so much easier to be upfront and honest with people than to be lying and cheating. It is so much easier to accept your own and be yourself as opposed to, like Sister was saying, being driven by ego. You know, there's a time for everybody to shine. But let me just say this. There's enough darkness out there in the city and in the world and in our community. There's enough darkness out there for all of us to be shining lights. So, Brother Tio, what you got anything you're working on that you want to share with us? Any way we can support you? Any events coming up? Anything you need help with? He's gone?
Yes, sir. He's gone now. Yes, sir.
Okay, Sister Victoria, you still with us?
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, you know, that's just a lieutenant right there.
I'm not going anywhere until you kick me off, brother. The sister's gonna stick around.
Hey, we know that
no
now.
pun intended. I should have said that because that's another issue. The gender.
No,
the gender
no,
piece.
it ain't an issue.
That was just a joke.
No, it ain't no issue. The black woman needs to stick around. We want her. We don't want to go nowhere without her. I don't know about nobody else. We want her right here with us.
That's right.
We ain't got no gender issues over here. No, we love the black woman. We want her, man. Please don't get me started. But I think, Sister Victoria, I think that as we get into this, more and more into this work, and like you said, we can come together. I think it's so important for us to say to our people, no, we can resolve the violence. We can. We can.
We can.
It's going to take work. It's going to take sacrifice. It's going to take struggle. It's going to take commitment. And I know that it's something when you get involved in the lives of people, like you are with young people, and they get to calling you whenever they need you.
Yes, sir.
And they calling you for all kinds of stuff, all times of day and night. That's a heck of a commitment, brothers and sisters. And a lot of us don't want that level of commitment. But it's okay, because you know what? There's somebody that does. And if you fit your part into the puzzle, whatever you bring, you fit your part. I bring my part. Pastor Victoria brings her part. Brother Tony Mono brings his part. Brother Matthew brings his part. Brother Tio brings his part. And we start to interlock these pieces like we are forming and creating and putting together a beautiful puzzle for the liberation and the salvation of our people. I got to say this, then y'all can get on in. I got to say this, brothers and sisters. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, has warned us about this enemy waging war on our people, and in particular our community, our young people, waging war in the name of combating drugs, gangs, and violence. So these images that are going around everywhere, without talking about what's really going on, without talking about the suffering of our children, without talking about how our children are victimized by violence, how our children are victimized by violence. Not talking about that. And if we look at, like I was looking at the State of Black Chicago report that the Urban League Chicago released in last year. So I was looking at that, and it talked about all these disparities, right? Failing education. Then I started looking at money, because I think one of the scriptures says something like, if you want to know where a man's heart is, see where his treasure is. Mm. And so the 2024 fiscal budget for the Chicago Police Department is roughly $2 billion. $2 billion with a B. And according to the Civic Foundation, which tracks these things, the Chicago Police Department has grown steadily over the years to keep up with increases in personnel costs. So Chicago Police Department appropriations within the corporate fund, and that's basically the structure in terms of where the money is, have increased by nearly 40%. Do you hear me? Since 2018, from 1.3 billion to 1.7 billion. Now this year we're talking about 2 billion. So the mayor, I guess he's put forward something he's calling the People's Plan, and he talked about it, and he talked about what I'm reading, says that the mayor allocated $100 million toward anti-violence programs, which was a strategy that his predecessor Lori Lightfoot latched on to, and that Johnson seeks to multiply. I really want to look in what's really out. Well, you know what, brothers, we really need to look at that $100 million and see what that's for, and see who it's earmarked to, because. And over what period of time? Because according to this article in the Chicago Tribune, there are 4 neighborhoods that are going to be what they call the first wave of investments. And each of these neighborhoods, there will be a community-based organization that will receive $250,000 to, quote, implement Johnson's goal of targeting people-based and place-based approaches to revitalization. I'm going to tell you this, brothers and sisters. You can't do no revitalization with no $250,000.
Yeah, true.
You can't do no revitalization. Maybe you can start
put that in somebody's pocket, bro.
Yeah, I mean, but even if they don't put it in their pocket, it ain't nothing to deal with to revitalize nothing.
No, not at all. You gotta see what.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about, let's say you get 2 staff members and you just pay them $50,000.
Yeah, that's
$100,000 right there.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say you give them a little health insurance. Mm-hmm. Let's say that's $125,000 right there. You got to have staff to deliver services and programs. So now
that
you got
raises
what?
the question. That raises the question, though. How serious are you about bringing change? Like you were saying, where a man's heart is where his treasure is. So if you're saying that your heart is in making a change in the black community and these neighborhoods, and you say, well, 250 or whatever you just mentioned, that doesn't say anything about how much you really love that neighborhood. So and then what is written down that 250 is earmarked to? I'm sure it spells it out to some extent. It gives some parameters. Is it personnel? If it's personnel, well, that ain't going nowhere. Is it program? Well, it still ain't going too far. Even with program, well, how do you pay for the personnel? So it's all it's all smoke and mirror, man. I'm doing something, but maybe it's not the same thing, and that's unfortunate because we've always have a lot of hope in our black elected officials, especially with Brother Brandon. He's quote unquote progressive, et cetera, et cetera. He's having a hell of a time right now, so it would benefit him to really embrace our people and pull them closer to him in a way that is demonstrative of his love, because he's getting attacked from all areas and even from his own base. Sometimes he's getting attacked. He's getting attacked because the love that I'm sure he has and his record as a progressive organizer, that's where his life was, in the community, in the hood. So now that you're in the pot, that's why I always say, once you get in that seat, it's a whole different thing. You got one idea, but when you sit down in it, just like Barack found out, you ain't got no control. You ain't got no real power. There's people pulling your strings, and you have to do what you can to survive and appease your base. But the bottom line is you're going to take care of that mostly corporate hierarchy that pulls the strings on the operations of the city. So, that's the unfortunate thing about that.
All right, brother. We got some callers on the line. Y'all want to go to them real quick?
Absolutely. Let's bring them on. We got, about 8-9 minutes?
Yeah, we got about 8-9 minutes. So thank y'all for holding on WVON 1690, the talk of Chicago. We got Anita and Big Ron. Hold on a second. Let's go to the sister first. Anita, you're on Straight Words on WVON. Good evening, sister. How you doing?
I'm not doing good after that last comment about corporate. Corporate to me in this country and in the world are gay. And they use the black manliness to work for them like a woman would a man. And he don't even have children with that man. So I'm not favorable to corporate because they think like a gay man. And it's okay for men to be gay. But when it comes to our black men, I wish they'd find him some other men to service them. And you guys need to stop letting them do it. Elijah Muhammad was not into that, and you know this for real, okay? And just you said that comment, but I want to say this. My husband grew up with the Nation of Islam in Chicago from maybe a little bit before 8th grade, and he said Elijah Muhammad always had the women who had raised children and done it successfully to head things for the women. He didn't just use unqualified people like the American people throw a 23-year-old person out there in the classroom to teach children, and she has no experience in life, okay? And another thing, we need to watch how we mate, that we don't follow the slave master's tradition of being too young at 14 and not having no loyalty to the man that we have the children by, just by him, disking the women after he raped them and made them have babies. Our women have a very bad habit of not feeling close, I don't think, to men. One, they're too young to even have feelings like that, and then to be forced. We have some of them bad habits with us, and you men, you really have to work with that, so that, she'll understand that you have to have feelings. You just can't come to get something because someone's going to reward you or whatever, force you. But that's my comment about violence in the family.
All right, sister. Thank you.
All right. Big Ron, you're on WVON 1690, the Talk of Chicago. Go ahead, big brother.
Yes, sir, brother. Mostly what I was going to say has been covered. They speak of unity and they speak of a program and they speak of family. Well, I just encourage everybody to read the inside page, the inside back page of the final call. Read what the Muslims want, what the Muslims believe, and examine it critically, and then check off how much of that do you want and do you believe. And if you can get to a 90% agreement, then I think you need to come and join in, because we don't have 100% agreement on anything. So if we can agree with 80 to 90% of what the Muslims want, what the Muslims believe, then that's your program. It's working not only nationally but internationally. So it is a viable solution to our liberation. And as the messenger taught us, our problem is a divine problem. And I heard the sister speaking, about the scriptures and how they are an integral part of any solution. Well, that's our foundation. And if you're looking for a God intervention, then come and discuss point number 12 with us. I'm sure we will be more than, can provide you with more than an adequate explanation for it, because I just keep hearing them say God, God, God. Well, we know him in person by name. So I just encourage all the listeners to just do that simple thing, and see if we can then come in unity under a proven system. And with that, I would say, assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, brother.
Well, alaikum
Thank you so much,
brother Ron. Sister Victoria, we about to break out of here. We want to give you a couple minutes. Where can people reach you? How can we follow you? How can we support you?
I appreciate the brother's comments, and yes, I tend to try my best to use language that is universal for the purpose of making the point about unity. That's another big piece when we talk about disunity, when we start using language and words and terminology that people don't agree with, then the talks begin to break down. We're not about breaking anything down except the enemy. We're all about building ourselves up. I I appreciate what was said. And yes, we do have specific names, but for the sake of unity, we become what we need to become for one another and for the benefit of our greater community. I can be reached at Pastor Victoria Brady at gmail.com. Pastor Victoria Brady at gmail.com. I also represent and work for another organization that's been around 31 years in the community, and that is ABJ Civic Arts Center. And we do have a website. That organization does have a website, and it's www.abjchicago.org. abjchicago.org. So there are a couple different ways that people can reach me, Brother Naba'a. And I heard your invitation to put the Gideon 300 information on your site, so I will contact you concerning that. We'd be glad to do that, and we'd appreciate it. The only other thing I want to just say is that we can make it over. Brothers and sisters. Let us walk together in love, and with love we can cover a multitude of faults. Let's not always look at each other, but look at what must be done. God bless you, and thank you so much for having me back on. I always enjoy it. God bless.
Thank you, sister, for hanging with us. Well, brothers and sisters, we're coming down. We're counting down. Brother BJ, I still think the people need to know how they need to help us to keep this going.
That's right. And I know, brothers and sisters, y'all been listening tonight, and powerful commentary tonight. You can get this nowhere else except for on Straight Words. And help us and support us to keep the love light burning. And like my brother said earlier, we trying to raise a black army of love through this radio show. So $ Straight Words on Cash App, $ Straight Words on Cash App, on Zelle, 312-480-9775 on Zelle to donate. Give your best donation tonight before you go to bed. And also on PayPal, we at straightwords, 4 at gmail.com. I want to give a shout out to one of our sisters listening, Stop Killing Our Children Incorporated, the support group down there in Charlotte, North Carolina. My sister Stephanie, she's been doing a wonderful job. So she's been listening tonight. I told a lot of people to listen in and see how brothers and sisters are dealing with the violence in the city of Chicago. So we thank you for that. Also, our producer, Sister Jeanette in Chicago, in Charlotte, and our great producer, Brother Deontay, in the city of Chicago, WVON headquarters. Thank you so much. So, brothers and sisters, that's it. And we look forward to talking to y'all again next week, 9 p.m. to midnight, straightwords.com. Go to the site if you want to catch some of the shows that we did in the past couple of weeks, and tonight's show will be posted when you wake up in the morning, inshallah. So for Brother Naba'a, Brother James G. Muhammad, remember the scripture says, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Go out and show your love tomorrow all over the country. Assalamu alaikum, brothers.
Wa alaikum
salam.
Talk of Chicago and the voice of the nation is 1690 WVON, Berwyn, Chicago.
She's funny. She's witty.